So today we're going to be taking a look at the alternative future of the world. I do plan on making this into a series, and so please show your support by liking and subscribing to the channel if you enjoyed this video. Let's get started with this scenario. So now we'll be starting with the war in Ukraine. So now, since we have to start in the modern day, and this is probably one of the most major conflicts in the world, we'll be starting here. So these are the approximate front lines currently in 2024, and we'll be going off from here. Now, please keep in mind that this is an alternate scenario, so none of this will probably happen. This is just for our imagination and for the sake of entertainment. So we'll be going off from here. So Russia has been pushed back by Ukraine. Their front lines used to be like out here, but they've been pushed back to here. They now call in their ally Belarus into the war, and this will give them a new line, or a new front line where they can attack from. So they start to push in from the north of Ukraine again, hoping to push in to Kiev and capture the capital. Push into the south, and they push in from almost all sides of eastern Ukraine. They push across and cut Ukraine in half. And that makes this southern part fall, and continue to push up. The push out of Belarus goes very successfully, and they arrive at the gates of Kiev. The Battle of Kiev begins. They fight for a very long time, but eventually Russia does retake Kiev. They continue pushing in, and most of Ukraine has been captured. They push out from all of southern Belarus, and they sweep through the country. Now NATO has become very tense with this conflict, and they're lining the border with Russia with many troops. They don't plan to invade, but this is in case if Russia decides to invade them. They push past Moldova, and they declare war on Moldova as well, and they quickly take the entire country. Russia does eventually take all of Ukraine, and President Zelensky is forced into neighboring Poland. Now, let's take a look at this peace treaty. So now you can see here that Russia annexes most of eastern Ukraine, including the Crimea Peninsula, and Ukraine and Moldova are united together to form one puppet state that's very pro-Russian, and Belarus gets some land in the south as well. And now we'll have a second Russian conflict, where Russia now declares war on Georgia. Now this battle will be quite difficult for Russia because pretty much this entire country is just mountains, and mountains aren't easy to invade. Russia does already occupy some land in Georgia. It looks something like that, and they push out from the border to unite these two. They use their navy to push along the entire coast, but it doesn't get them very far. They do push in slightly on the southern border, but it really doesn't do much. They push in a bit in the east, hoping to take their capital, but they don't get very far. They do use their ally of Armenia in the south to push out slightly. They do meet up with their other campaigns in the west. Eventually they do take the Georgian capital, splitting the country in two, and the southern half surrenders. Eventually the entire country capitulates over to Russia, and the peace treaty looks something like this. And as we can see, Russia annexes the entire country. Now we see Russia forming an alliance with Belarus and their puppet state of Ukraine. And we also see NATO growing very tense with Russia's expansions, and they're looking to expand their borders in order to prevent the Russian expansion. We see Bosnia joining, as well as Austria and Azerbaijan too. We also see Ireland and even Morocco looking to join the alliance, but not officially joining it just yet. We see Serbia and Armenia both applying to join the Russian alliance. That'll be about it for Europe. We see Bougainville getting independence. It is about 2027 now. And we have one more war for this video, and that will be the US declaring war on Cuba. And you might be wondering why they're doing that. Well, that is solely because of missiles that they found or suspect might be hiding within. The US uses its navy and surround the waters around Cuba. They make a landing in the western part, splitting the country in two, and making another landing on the eastern coast. The eastern one pushes up very quickly, and they take much of the eastern half of the country. The western one sees more trouble in taking Havana, but they do take the other half, as well as this island down here. They eventually do surround the capital, and they take it, and both sides eventually meet up. In this peace treaty, we see Cuba either becoming a state, or maybe a territory. Actually, no, let's make them a state. They become a state, and same with Puerto Rico. They all become U.S. states. U.S. has 52 states now. And I think that'll do it for today's video. I thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you again in my next video. Remember, this is just part 1 of this series. There will be more, and yes, thank you for watching.